Salakia, somebody want to call, man. Gabinet, precept, in Isaiah chapter 11, verse 1. And there shall come forth a rod out of the stem of Jesse, and a branch shall grow out of his roots, and the Spirit of the Lord shall rest upon him, the Spirit of wisdom and understanding, the Spirit of counsel and might, the Spirit of knowledge and the fear of the Lord, and shall make him of quick understanding in the fear of the Lord. And he shall not judge after the sight of his eyes, neither reprove after the hearing of his ears, but with righteousness shall he judge the poor, and reprove the equity for the meek of the earth. And he shall smite the earth with the rod of his mouth, and with the breath of his lips shall he slay the wicked. And righteousness shall be girded in his loins, and faithfulness the girdle of his reins. The wolf also shall dwell with the lamb, and the leopard shall lie down with the kid, and the calf and the young lion and the fatling together, and a little child shall lead them. And the cow and the bear shall feed, their young ones shall lie down together, and the lion shall eat straw like the ox. And the suckling child shall play on the hole of the asp, and the weaned child shall put his hand on the cockatrice den. Then they shall not hurt nor destroy in all my holy mountain, for the earth shall be full of the knowledge of the Lord, as the waters cover the sea. And in that day there shall be a root of Jesse, which shall stand for an insignia of the people. To it shall the Gentiles seek, and his rest shall be glorious. And that none of this is going on. None of this is going on because the true Messiah is not on the scene. The kingdom of heaven is not set up. You don't see certain animals dwelling with each other. You don't see children being able to wander and be out and about, wild animals. It's not, because the kingdom of heaven is not set up. The order for peace being into all things and animals dwelling with each other is not set up. The peaceable kingdom is not established because the Lord hasn't come back, man. Jump over to chapter 13 and verse 6. And it reads, "How ye, for the day of the Lord is at hand, and it shall come as destruction from the Almighty." Has not been great destruction on a level that the world hasn't seen before. Therefore shall all hands be faint, and every man's heart shall melt, and they shall be afraid. Pangs and sorrows shall take hold of them. They shall be in pain as a woman that travaileth. They shall be amazed one at another. Their faces shall be as flames. Behold, the day of the Lord cometh cruel, both with wrath and fierce anger, to lay the land desolate, and he shall destroy the sinners thereof out of it. There's still sinners around. It's still sinners around. So what kind of Messiah are you, Ben Nami, Ben Israel? For the stars of heaven shall and the constellations thereof shall not give their light. The sun shall be darkened in his going forth, and the moon shall not cause her light to shine. Ain't the moon still shining? And ain't the sun steady coming up? And I will punish the world for their evil and the wicked for their iniquity, and I will cause the arrogance of the proud to cease. Proud is Salakia. Trump is still making tweets, making proud speeches. So what type of Messiah are you? And I will lay low the haughtiness of the terrible. These devils are still terrorizing the earth. You know? So what kind of Messiah are you? Got one more. I'm gonna go over to chapter 14. And it reads, verse 1: For the Lord will have mercy on Jacob and will yet choose Israel and set them in their own land. The Lord has not set the 12, the northern kingdom and the southern kingdom in their own land, which is in the Middle East, the land of Jerusalem, the land of their inheritance. They're not over there. So what kind of Messiah are you? None of the you're not fitting none of the prophecies with this bull crap. Trying to take the credit of Yahweh Shah, man. Really? Verse 2: And the people shall take them and bring them into their place, and the house of Israel shall possess them in the land of the Lord for servants and handmaids. Who the 12 tribes of Israel are still in captivity, still being treated poorly, still being oppressed, catching hell. So where are our servants and handmaids at? Because you're not the Messiah. You're not Yahweh Shah, man. Period. Um, I'm gonna jump back as well to Matthew, the 23rd chapter. This guy just, hey man, these guys just don't, couldn't read the scriptures, or either they know and they just being, deceiving people, man, on purpose. Um, Salakia, I'm tripping. Salakia. This is Matthew chapter 23 and verse 9. And call no man your father upon the earth, for one is your Father which is in heaven. And that's talking about like how the priest assumes the seat of mediation between the people and God, and that title belongs solely to Yahweh Shah Mashiach. He's the mediator. He's the mediator, and this guy is trying to assume the role of Yahweh Shah, man. Um, this is St. John chapter 14 and verse 6. Yahushua said unto him, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man cometh unto the Father but by me. If ye had known me, ye should have known my Father also. And from henceforth ye know him and have seen him. This God is not the way, man. The truth or the life, man. He's totally bugged out.
Our children were denied entrance into the public schools, and we were like isolated from society at large. We had no choice except to establish our own institutions, and we established the Kingdom School in Holiness, the institution of marriage. We had to have something that would legally bind the couples. So we established our own priesthood.
That's what sex is, man. Sex is marriage.
Compelled to establish our own institutions in order to survive in the promised land.
When you talk about the kingdom of Yah or the kingdom of God, kingdom is a government structure. So we would simply say that we are a government of men and women who are governed by God. At the head of that government is our anointed spiritual leader, Ben-Ami, who sits as the chair of the council of the princes, and the princes then set policy for the community. At the second level, you have your ministers. We deal with the day-to-day affairs of the community, be they in transportation, economics, agriculture, dedication, which is our form of education, and so forth. And then under the ministries, you have the crowned brothers and sisters. There are those that we can call on any time of the night to be able to step in and fulfill the kind of things that need to be done in carrying out the mandates of the different ministries and what have you.
Is it a democracy in terms of, do people get to vote for, or is it just...
No, we're not democratic in any way, in any sense. When we go back in biblical times, you know, when you look at the leadership of Moses, it was very autocratic. It was very dictatorial, in fact. And in fact, God, the Holy One of Israel, is a dictator. He's got his desires and wishes, and that's how it is. And
that's true.
If you are able to meet them, you meet them. If you don't, well, you're on the other side of the protection that is offered by such an entity.
The community is registered as a Agudasha 2 feet, which is a cooperative, which means that all the earnings of the community are put together. It's a kibbutz eroni, but it's a little different. You know, most kibbutzim, they have their own land area and they're gated and closed in, and it's a city of itself. So in similar way, we have everything that we need here to support ourselves.
Our economic system is called all things in common. And it's actually a concept that's biblically based. You put into the pot according to your ability, take out according to need. We have a common saying that leaders of the future will have to prepare the people for living with less. Less money, less transportation, or less fuel, all of those things. More is not.
Dust of the earth from the soil. All of the minerals in the soil are in your body, and you have to continue to resupply them. The Creator, knowing that we could not go out and take these minerals out of the earth and consume them and ingest and digest them, but in his infinite wisdom, he caused plants to spring forth from the same soil from which we were created, and he instructed us to consume the plants.
The Genesis instruction was to preserve the Adamic body, the body that was created in its perfection.
We don't eat any animal products because we actually believe that if you have a plant-based diet, you can actually regenerate the cells in this body. Anytime you have a scratch, everything heals.
I'm one of those people who never really stops to eat. I literally live on takeaways and Coke. So to suddenly only be getting melons, salads, and water nearly killed me. I was cranky, tired, and obsessed with getting fed. But after looking around me, I felt ashamed for what I put my body through. Everybody in this community is so conscious of the connection between the body, the mind, and the soul.
Jake, turn them down watermelon's ass up.
Which shows,
but you know that's healthy.
How old are you?
I'm 52.
I can't believe it.
Thank you.
Now, earlier in the video, I got your attention about the Passover, the New World Passover, 2010. So they've been, doing this for a while. But one thing about the Passover, if you a vegan or don't eat meat or all this plant-based diet, you can't celebrate the Passover then. So the Messiah is going to come back and not celebrate the Passover, and he's vegan. Madness. But this is Exodus chapter 12, verse 1. And the Lord spake unto Moses and Aaron in the land of Egypt, saying, This month shall be unto you the beginning of months. So around the Passover, it'll be the beginning of the year. It'll be the first month of the new year, which clearly shows that January is not the new year. That's smack dead in the winter when everything's dead. New life, the new year begins, and when spring, life is springing forth. However, speak ye unto all the congregation of Israel, saying, In the 10th day of this month they shall take to them every man a lamb. That's meat. According to the house of their fathers, a lamb for an house. And if the household be too little for the lamb, let him and his neighbor next unto his house take it according to the number of the souls. Every man according to his eating shall make your count for the lamb. Your lamb shall be without blemish, a male of the first year. Ye shall take it out from the sheep or from the goats, and ye shall keep it until the 14th day of the same month. And the whole assembly of the congregation of Israel shall kill it in the evening. And they shall take of the blood and strike it on the two side posts and on the upper door posts of the houses wherein they shall eat it. So this is a commandment. This is how you properly celebrate the Passover. And they shall eat the flesh in that night, roast with fire and unleavened bread, and with bitter herbs they shall eat it. Eat not of it raw, nor sodden at all with water. So no boiled, no baked, but roast with fire. His head with his legs. I mean, yeah, you baking it, but it has to be roast with fire, not boiled, with water, dry roasted. His head with his legs and with the pertinence thereof, his organs. Eat not, bringing it from the top of verse 9, eat not of it raw, nor sodden at all with water, but roast with fire, his head with his legs and with the pertinence thereof. And ye shall let nothing of it remain until the morning, and and that which remaineth of it until the morning ye shall burn with fire. And thus shall ye eat it, with your loins girded, your shoes on your feet, and your staff in your hand, and ye shall eat it in haste. It is the Lord's Passover. So how do you celebrate the Passover then? According to the scriptures, if you just so veganed out and people was crazy, man.
Well, that's our good life, good diet. Again, the community is very health conscious, is very health literate. I'm sure if you're walking around, you'll find that even the youngest of the children, if you tell them, oh, I have a cold, I have a tummy ache, I have a headache, or whatever, they'll be able to give you a cure. Each family looks out for each other. I mean, it's like one big family here. I'm sure you'll see that. Everyone knows everyone, and we're able to help and assist each other. It's the greatest experience that I've ever had in my life.
this is the community's agricultural project, and we're on the outskirts of Dimona. I want to introduce you to Taryn.
Taryn?
Taryn out of South Africa.
And don't get me wrong, this is a good way actually, for Hebrew Israelites, not African Hebrew Israelites, to live. Is how you supposed to have a high amount of plants and herbs in your diet, but it's balanced. You have meat and fish. You have different animals that are lawful to eat. It's a balance. That's why even if you don't, eat meat a lot, you still have to eat it on the Passover. So it's not wrong to not eat meat, but celebrating the Passover, that's something you have to do, because it's thus said the Lord, man.
So all the food that I've been eating in the community, is that all from here?
Some of it is here because realistically our fields are not big enough. At least the field that we're presently cultivating is not big enough to provide produce to our community of over 2,500 people. But I'd like to take you on a tour of what we are doing here. Welcome to what we call our community bioorganic agricultural demonstration farm and training.
Keep it up.
Wine grapes, Merlot wine grapes. They produce a very plum wine, ginger wine, all types of varieties of wine are made in our community.
And you have honey as well?
Oh, I'm glad you asked the question. We have professional.
For many of us, we can go by ourselves and run in the mountains. We have that own self-internal discipline. But for others, they need a buddy. They need a class. They need something structured. And again, that's the environment that's created here, where we can say, when's the last time you went running? You look like you gained a few pounds.
At the age of 73, Ben Amin still runs 6 kilometers every day. And most days, he waits until the midday heat so that he can get maximum output from his exercise.
He gets out twice a week. He runs a 6-kilometer trail out in the mountains. And it could be raining and cold, but he's going to still get out there at that particular
specific part I want to get to.
We don't do drugs. Holistic community.
Hey, Simone, how's it going? Wanted to introduce Sister Taryn out of South Africa.
And I'll end it off with this.
Kohen Abir, or Brother Abir HaKohen, the priest, and he's the head of our Divine Holistic Health Sanctuary.
We have developed what we call Edenic energy exercise. Edenic, like Eden, paradise, an exercise that would energize you back to how it was in the very beginning, before people got sick, before it was any diseases. Because when you look in the scriptures, Adam, he lived 950 years. The only reason why death exists is because of our habits. You don't have to...
Oh, no, buddy. He says a few things. I'm gonna grab a few scriptures because these guys are just spewing madness, man. Because of our habits. What habit did Adam have? Why he died? It was about something that they did. That Eve did. This is Ecclesiastes. Chapter 25. Salakia. basically, Salakia. It's in First Timothy, Salakia again. Um, you can go into Sirach chapter 25 to elaborate on why I'm reading First Timothy 2 and 13, um, and it'll explain everything. So let me find this. First Timothy. Here we go. First Timothy chapter 2 and verse 13. Oh shoot. Yeah. And it reads, for Adam was first formed, then Eve. And Adam was not deceived, but the woman being deceived was in the transgression. So um, Eve's disobedience is what brought death into the world. You know, not their habits. Um, and I could go in a little bit to show you why um, Eve is, you know, it goes into it. This is Sirach chapter 25 and verse 13. Give me any plague but the plague of the heart, and any wickedness but the wickedness of a woman, and any affliction but the affliction from them that hate me, and any revenge of but the revenge of my enemies. But basically, this chapter go in and tells you why you shouldn't um, hearken unto the woman, you know, because she's a weaker vessel. Verse 19, all wickedness is but little to the wickedness of a woman. Let the portion of a sinner fall upon her. Verse 21, stumble not at the beauty of a woman, and desire her not for her pleasure. And I was looking for well, I'll quote it roughly paraphrasing. Because of the woman we all die. I believe that's in Sirach or Wisdom of Solomon, Salakia. Well, anyhow, Salakia. I meant to bring that out. Um, I let him bring out some more, a little bit more.
And you don't have to die.
That actually do people believe in kind of eternal life or living for?
Not kind of eternal life. That you do not have to end this body. That is possible.
That it's possible to what?
To live forever. To never die. Whenever I'm interviewed, I always tell people, please come back in 150 years and interview me one more time. I want everybody to come back in 150 years so I can prove what I'm saying at this moment, 2010.
Yeah, and I'll just till you bring precepts out. This is Romans chapter 5 and verse 12. Wherefore, as by one man sin entered into the world, and death by sin, and so death passed upon all men, for that all have sinned. So this guy's completely bugged out, man. You know, you can do whatever you want to do to try to preserve your body. You dying is a part of the curse. When Adam and Eve fell from immortality, by sinning, they brought death into the world. Verse 13, for unto the law sin was in the world, but sin is not imputed when there is no law. But anywho, you you die, man. You die. The Lord said He was gonna make the days shorter, man. He was gonna cut the stature of man. Roughly paraphrasing. Um, Look at John 8. Fuck yeah. Bear with me. Pages getting stuck. Yeah, man, this guy's crazy, man. Now the elect, you know, those that get saved from the thermonuclear destruction will not die, will not taste death, and I'll get that. This is St. John. This is St. John chapter 8 and verse 51. Verily, verily, I say unto you, if a man keep my saying, he shall never see death. Then said the Jews unto him,